Hey everybody, Steve G here for Chef Knives to Go with another quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Karaku Awagami or Blue #1 Gyuto 2 10mm knife. So this knife is composed of 3 layers. There is a center steel, which is the cutting edge steel, the hard steel in the middle, and then soft iron on either side. The core steel is Awagami or Blue Paper #1 reactive high carbon steel. Again, soft iron reactive cladding on each side. You can see this cladding has what's known as a kuda uchi or a blacksmith kind of protective finish here, and it's also got a lacquer coating on it as well that will wear off as you use the knife. It's a food safe lacquer. So this is an all reactive blade. There's no stainless or semi-stainless on it, so appropriate care will need to be taken. The steel will be very easy to sharpen and get very, very sharp to whatever your skill level is. The weight and dimensions, since these are kind of hand hammered and handmade, will vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 175 grams or 6.2 ounces. Heat treat on that Awagami #1 is typically in the 61, 62, maybe 63 range. So the handle is kind of the standard octagonal ambidextrous handle. It's oak, and it's got what's called an urushi or burnt finish on it. Nice looking handle, and they've got a good seal job where that comes in to the tang, or the tang comes into the handle. So just kind of good basic handle. Looks nice, has a nice warm look to it and feel. The edge length on this one is 213 millimeters or 8.4 inches. And the overall length is about 357 millimeters or 14 inches. Spine, these are pretty thick coming out of the handle. I got about 4 millimeters at the back of the blade, but then it shrinks down pretty quickly after that. About halfway down, I got about 2.5-ish millimeters. And then there's not a lot of taper as it goes towards the tip, really until you get to where it's ground down towards the tip. So at the very tip, it does thin up. It's not whisper thin, but it does thin up pretty nicely there, but it, thickens up quickly. And then here's the choil shot at the back. So again, this is not a super skinny mini, but it'll have good food separation properties. So reasonably thin. That also gives you just a little bit more durability. So a little bit of a trade-off. Height at the back on this one's about 47 millimeters. The height is plenty for, clearance on the cutting board for your fingers. This particular one doesn't have a large amount of space here where the curve from the choil goes into the neck, but it's enough there for a little spot for your finger on that. Balance point, this is fairly neutral. Oak's a little bit heavier, but the blade's got a little mass to it as well, so the balance point on this one's right about there. Pinch grip, personally, that's like, for me, that's like right on the money. So for me, that's dead neutral in terms of, feel. It's not a light knife compared to some of these at 6.2 ounces, but it doesn't have a heavy feel. It's got a little bit of mass to it, but it's neutral, so that's pretty nice. Let's take a look at the beauty shot here for our camera shot. So what you'll see is a fairly smooth finish. There's not a little bit of hammering. You can kind of tell everyone's going to be a little bit unique. You've got some embossed kanji and the name of the maker on the right side of the blade. You can see this, I think you can see it. It's a lacquer coating on it that'll wear off as you use it. The grind is right here, so it's kind of got like a sandblasted grind. Here's your core steel peeking out from the cladding. Here's the left side of the blade. Again, these are all going to be slightly unique, but fairly smooth. There's not a lot of like nishiji or anything like that on, not a lot of hammering marks, but definitely can tell it's handmade. Here's an embossed kanji on the left side of the blade. Fit and finish is pretty nice on this. They've relieved a little bit on the corners of the spine. They've taken a little off the curve here in the back of the blade, the choil and the curve, so pretty comfortable right out of the box. This one actually a pretty good edge on it. Sometimes the lacquer will cover the edge and kind of dull, don't have a super sharp blade. This one I'll give it a 5, maybe 6 out of 10 on my scale, but it'll definitely get sharper for sure if you do your part. Let's take a look at the cutting board edge profile here. Alrighty, so not every knife is going to be exactly the same from this maker, but this gives you a general idea. You can see it's a fairly low profile with not a lot of belly. The tip's fairly low to the center line, so I'm getting up in that area. Start digging in right about there with the tip, so you could tweak the tip a little bit when you sharpen it, maybe upsweep a millimeter or two to give yourself a little more room here, but you'll be able to rock small stuff no problem. You can see it kind of floats into a flattish area towards the back, not like a big old flat spot. But this will rock really nicely for low stuff. Great for tip draws through food, push-pull cuts, glide cuts, a little bit of chopping towards the back. So I'd say pretty versatile profile overall. Helps if you don't bang your table here. So this is a high-value knife if you want to try an all-reactive knife, easy to sharpen steel, you know, good way to get into the game. It's got a little bit of weight to it, kind of a forgiving knife. This would really do well in a home kitchen. This is the Karaku Awagami number 1, or blue number 1, Gyuto 210mm knife from Chef Knives To Go.